Hey everybody, I'm Law of the West, and in this video, I've taken all the information from the Q&A posting about the Kraken and condensed it down into a more presentable form, which I'm going to read for you now. The Kraken shields are only going to cover the hull of the ship, and is not going to protect the people or the ships that are parked on the landing pads. It will, however, completely protect any of the ships that are docked inside either of its two internal hangars. In the future, the projected bubble shields that we currently have will be replaced by what they're calling the Single Distance Field Tech Improvements, which is going to be a projection of shield energy that fully wraps around the hull of a ship. The Kraken is intended in many ways to be a mobile base. This includes having the ability to refuel, restock, and repair ships that have landed onto it. But the resources used to do this are going to come from the Kraken's own internal supplies. You will be able to quantum travel while ships are parked on the landing pads. When activated, a quantum drive creates a bubble around the ship in order to move it, which projects outward and encompasses anything that's located within a close proximity to the hull. A word of warning though, being outside of a ship during quantum is going to be extremely dangerous. One misstep and it's instant death, or could result in your expulsion into deep space. Any pilot who's attempting to land on the Kraken will be provided with an automatic landing solution, just like when you're landing at Ollie, Grimhex, or Levski. Regardless if you like to land manually or not, this option is going to come in very handy, especially when you're attempting to land while both ships are in motion. You are going to be able to spawn any appropriately sized ship that you own onto your Kraken, but only at the time when you spawn the Kraken itself. Once you're on your way, you'll no longer be able to dynamically spawn any more ships on board. The Kraken is going to follow the same rule sets as the persistent bed log-off system that is currently in the game. If the owner of the Kraken logs off, and there are no other players on board, then the ship and anything aboard it will despawn. If there are players still on board, then the Kraken, and any other ships that have landed on it, will persist. If a player lands on the ship and then logs off, their ship will persist along with the Kraken until the Kraken itself is either despawned or destroyed. If the player then rejoins, they'll either have it respawn at the point the Kraken was, or will have to reclaim it if it was destroyed. In true Drake fashion, the Kraken was constructed to be pragmatic and cost-effective, so its armor is going to be, in their own words, substantially less sturdy than the Idris and other dedicated military spec ships. It was not designed to be able to stand up to a heavy or capital class level of firepower. And there will be onboard accommodations that can provide lodging for 1 to 2 players per landing pad. These are going to be the same kind of basic habs like you'd find on Grimhex, minus the smell. Each hab will provide a place to rest, change, and sleep. And there are going to be no dedicated facilities on board like bars or trading areas. Drake sees no need to provide expensive escape pods, since the Kraken can hold plenty of ships to use in the unlikely case that an emergency occurs. And that's unlikely in quotation marks, by the way. The current design for quantum travel requires that all of the ship's doors must be shut before it can initiate the quantum drive. Beyond that, it has no other requirements. So the Kraken is not going to have any problems quantum traveling even if it has a ship on every one of its landing pads. The Kraken can only equip civilian and industrial grade items, and will come with civilian grade C items by default. The rear cargo holds are going to be ostensibly used for storing cargo for the time being, but it was hinted at that this significant amount of real estate could be repurposed in the future for alternative uses. Mobile Drug Lab. The internal layout of the ship will provide quite a few choke points that lead in from the landing pads. This is going to provide the crew with some strategic locations they can use to repel boarding parties from. Other than that, the Kraken is going to have no built-in mechanics to help deal with these unwanted guests. Every external landing pad will have access to the internal tram route via a loading hatch located within the airlock antechamber. This internal tram system is primarily designed to carry cargo between the pads and the main cargo hold of the ship, acting as a mediary between the docked ships and the Kraken itself. The flight performance of the Kraken could be characterized as poor at best. But the Kraken does have multiple VTOL thrusters that are going to allow it to take off and land while in atmosphere. 2 of them are located under the front wings, each of which can pivot down by 90 degrees, with more built into the underside of the rear hull in a permanently downward-facing position. That's it for all the new information that's been provided by CIG concerning the Drake Kraken. Thank you for your time, and take care.